Bible space-time.
Was the earth covered with water in the beginning when God created the heavens and the earth?
Bible said, Spirit of God was hovering over the waters, so it sounds like the earth was covered with water. But the Bible also said that the earth was formless and empty, so at that time the earth was not round, not in any particular shape, and it was consisted of a muddy water.
So, egg-shaped eggs are not in formless and empty state.
Yes. God didn't make eggs in the shape of formless and empty.
Then, why did God make the earth formless and empty first?
God made the earth perfect, from the beginning timelessly, but the Bible recorded the order of the creation and said that God made the earth formless and empty first, to show us that there were no gravity affecting on the earth at that stage.
Really? So, the gravity is not a natural production of Big Bang or self-existing energy of the universe.
You are right. Gravity is also made by God.
Then, when was the gravity made for the earth?
God implanted gravity to the earth on the third day. Read the following Bible verse.
And God said, Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear. And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and the gathered waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Genesis chapter 1 verse 9 to 10.
It was not the firmament that gathered the water to one place. It was God. This is the difference between the creation and the evolution. Evolutionary scientists, regardless of their personal religion, believe that there should be a particle or a power in the nature that produces the energy of the gravity. But the Bible said, the origin of the gravity is God.
So, until God gathered all the waters into a place, the entire space under the firmament was filled with water mixture. Then, where are all these waters now?
There was no any empty space under the firmament at that time, so to make the space for Earth's atmosphere, the water must had to be compressed to a smaller volume. And that's why the Bible said, God gathered the waters.
I know that gravity pulls waters in the higher places to lower places, but I don't think normal gravity could compress water into smaller water volume.
That's right. The normal Earth gravity cannot compress water in a lake or in the air into a solid water. But all these questions are come from the assumption that the gravity has to be a self-existing, natural power that always has to be consistent. If we realize that the gravity is also a creature God created, then it is not difficult to realize that the gravity does not really have to always exist, or always consistent, because God could create stronger gravity for the earth just to gather waters.
I see. That's why scientists said that the orbital speeds of the stars in our Milky Way galaxy and the strength of the gravity are not always proportional.
And that's why, during the Noah's flood, Bible said, all the springs of the great deep burst forth. And Peter said, the earth was formed out of water and by water.
But some people said, by quoting Genesis 2:6, that the waters that the Spirit of God was hovering over was not liquid water but must be a gaseous water, similar to Jupiter and Saturn, which are gas giant.
No. It cannot be a mist or a stream. Genesis chapter 2 verses from 4 to 6 are describing the earth just before God created Adam and Eve. It is not about the time before God started the creation. If you just read these verse 4, it looks like it is about the time when God just created the heavens and the earth, the time of Genesis 1:1, before God started the 7 days of creation. But if you read the next verse you could realize that it is not. Verse 5 said that the reason why there had no shrub and plant yet sprung up was because God had not sent rain, and there was no person to work the ground. But in beginning the earth was not a dry land. It was formlessly mixed and covered with water, and God created the human on the 6th day of the creation, 3 days later, after God created plants. Therefore the streams or the mist are not used to describe the earth before God started the first day of the creation.
Why did God created the earth formless and void?
It is natural to wonder why God didn't create the earth beautiful but formless and void, because according to our time concept there is a time gap between the time of the beginning and the time of the first day of the creation. But God is omnipresent in time and space. God could create one thing first and second thing later, but that does not mean that the first thing should be in front of the second thing in our time order. Because God does not create things depending on our time order, The word beginning was used to the start of time according to our viewpoint, not God's viewpoint, so the formless and void state of the earth existed prior to the 7 days of creation, not timely but spatially.
I see, that's why Bible didn't have to distinguish the different time zone to set the realm of days.
Yes. We cannot compare the order of existence between timely object and timeless object. We cannot say that the place that time started to exist is ahead of time compared to the place that has not been applied time. So in our serial viewpoint, day could start on different time, but in the view of the time itself, every places of the Earth's first day started at the same time point.
Thank you for watching Bible Space Time.